So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a 2008 Subaru Outback with an EJ25 that is Cosworth everything for the motor. It's a Cosworth long block, and every single thing internally is forged with no corners cut whatsoever. The first thing you notice is when you turn the key, it doesn't have that signature kind of piston slap that a lot of built Subarus have. In other words, it was built super correctly. After many lessons learned of going through a few more motors, the owner of this car just finally gave in and just went Cosworth. Is it worth it? That's up to you. The long block itself pretty much is $18,000. I mean, if you're hardcore Subaru, then you're gonna be in love. The reason I say you're gonna be in love is because as soon as you turn it on and you drive for literally 5 minutes, it feels so solid. It doesn't feel like there's any corners cut. It doesn't feel like the person who's so far along in their build that they're just like, just get it done already. Like, I don't care if it sounds like this or sounds bad, just get it done. Whenever you let off the gas, it makes this super aggressive growl, like it's almost mad at you. It's like, why didn't you do it earlier? The turbo on this car is not the factory turbo either. It's a Borg & Warner, which is one of the best turbo companies out there anymore. They're extremely durable and they last forever. Turbo itself is an EFR 7163, so it's no slouch whatsoever. In between shifts, I took a little longer to shift that first pull, but you know, it's almost that dramatic, it's a very dramatic pause, because when you go into the next gear, you don't really fall out of boost hardly at all. The transmission is still stock, which is extremely impressive, but it has a stage 3 clutch in it. I stalled it the first time I drove it, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. It also has Fortune 510 suspension on it, which is also fantastic. But my mind is so blown right now because you hear the aggressive boxer sound, and it's pretty subtle. You got a tile blow-off valve, you have all these great things, and then you look in your rearview mirror and you see all that space behind you, and you're just like, I am in the coolest mumble wagon of all time. I recently just did an Audi SQ5 SUV that was really low, but for being a Japanese wagon, I mean, this is pretty hard to beat. This is pretty cool. Basically, the car is the turbo version of the Outback before it was modified, so it's the WRX stuff essentially. So you have the nifty little hood scoop in the front. I could kind of see how a lot of people, when they bought it, they're like, oh, I want the WRX, but it doesn't have enough space, so I'm gonna go with the Outback, which 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would have been like, why'd you buy an Outback as a performance platform? But now it's actually doable. Another big advantage of this is you have 2 different modes, and one is Sport Sharp mode, which you can turn on while moving, which is extremely convenient. So even better is the little dial is right here, but it's also on your steering wheel, and you can press it right here. You have all the benefits of Cosworth and the fully forged everything, and with that, it's 434 wheel horsepower and 430 foot-pounds of torque. So that line does not get better in a dyno, really. Perfectly even. And along with that, you're in an Outback. Like I said again, it is the ultimate sleeper Subaru. I love cars with charm, and I love doing sleepers. And when I found out that I was able to do this, how can you say no? Inside it, you also get the nifty little access port, which is like a necessity for a Subaru. It tells you everything you'll ever need to know. You got your air-fuel ratios, your boost, all that good stuff. This is a 5-speed transmission, and this transmission feels so strong. I mean, like, there's no whiny, there's no weird sound to it. Also, the shifter is one of my favorite shifters I've ever felt. It's got a short throw shifter installed with the shifter bushing, so it feels really notchy and really good. So it has that reinforcing clunk every time you go into it. We always talk about in my Subaru reviews how boxer motors, for being 4 cylinders, are extremely torquey. And I'm in 4th gear right now, which, you know, cruising at around 50, 55 miles an hour, usually you wouldn't want to be in 4th, but look, just, and it starts going. There's not a lot of lag. You just wait a little bit. That boost threshold is not ridiculous. You don't have to wait that long for it to really get going. And I know this is a line that I've been saying a lot lately, but this is one of those cars, when I say one of them, one of many, but one of those cars where you have everything you'll ever need in one car. You're fast, you can handle decently, you have enough space in the back to put camera equipment and also sleep back there if you have to. It's kind of like if you were to ever go on a road trip, you can't afford a hotel, that's okay. You just put your back seats down and you're good. Steering wheel in this car is not stock, it's a GT spec, and that is why I really was looking at it. I was like, this is such a good steering wheel. Did they really put this in the Outback stock? And then I found out, no, they didn't. And go. Yep. It handled those corners awesome if you just kind of let out of the gas a little bit. And unlike a lot of all-wheel drive cars, that's what I just noticed, it's not as unforgiving when you let out of the gas. A lot of those STIs or the Evos, when you let out of the gas, that's when you understeer and you're gonna go into a tree. But with this, if you let out of the gas just enough, it very much straightened back out. It's so aggressive sounding when you let out of the gas. I mean, you have to remember that this motor was basically built for a race car. The previous owner of this engine block was gonna put it in an 06 Hawkeye rally car. So when you put it in an Outback, who saw that coming? It was amazing. I mean, that's really thinking outside the box, and that's what's so great about car culture, is because sometimes you just have no idea. Since the top mount intercooler is gone, it now has a front mount. All the piping was fabricated by our friends at Moore, and Moore is who tuned the last Subaru that I drove. So they fabricated all this custom piping to where it's super stealth mode. So when you pop the hood of this motor, there's only the engine cover with a Cosworth sticker this big. And other than that, you can't see the intercooler. Like, if you saw this thing going down the road, you would have no idea. And shut down. It's not as fast as the blob I recently done, but it doesn't matter. It's built so well. It's so put together. In the Subaru world, it doesn't get better than this with the motor. It just doesn't. Not only was the fabrication and stuff done by Moore, it was also tuned by Moore. So far in Virginia, if you have a Subaru, I support Moore. I would get tuned by them. It seems like their cars are pretty solid. Another thing about the shifter we were talking about earlier is you don't want to force it. Because if you try to force it, it doesn't like you. It just says, no, you're not nice to me. But if you just kind of let it happen and you just shift into it, then it's perfect. It just happens. Another thing that I've noticed while driving is the temperature of the motor with the oil cooler is incredibly even and cool. It hasn't gone up once. Even though I've been driving pretty aggressively, it hasn't budged. One thing I've always noticed though about Subarus though, if you don't know a lot about them, from the outside, if you have an external wastegate, they do kind of sound like if it was any other car, it was about to break or blow up, because it has that extremely intense flutter sound. It has that do-do-do-do-do-do. So people, when they watched Delmar drive at VIR, were saying he sounded like a pod racer from Star Wars, because it had such an unorthodox sound. thank each and every one of you for watching this quick little review video. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. This was a very, very cool car, and I'm very glad that I took this opportunity. I want to thank Delmarv driving all the way from Alexandria, Virginia, just to let me drive his car. So I will see you guys next time, and take it easy. Have a fantastic day.